Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Danny here. Today I'm talking to you about Spy Family. So Spy Family is written and drawn by Tatsuya Endo. This guy hasn't done a lot of stuff, mainly one-shots for the most part. But I did find out that this guy used to be an assistant for our boy Fujimoto, who has done Fire Punch and Chainsaw Man. And I heard about that before diving in. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I know this series isn't kind of like that, right? We talked about a similar series before with Hell's Paradise, how that mangaka was also an assistant for Fujimoto. And you could tell the similar themes in there, as well as like stylistically the art is. But here, it's not really that lane. It's just that he helped work there and decided to do his own manga, which is Spy Family. And this was published in March of 2019, currently ongoing. And this is over in Shonen Jump Plus. That is the digital magazine that Jump offers. And you can read it for free on the official apps out here. And as far as I know, it's published weekly. As I caught up, it looks like a weekly schedule there. And there's currently 49 chapters with a few extras just for quick one-offs with some of the characters. And every now and then there is some great artwork instead of a chapter for the week. Let's get right in, guys. This stars the Forger family. They are a nice, wholesome family here. A husband, a wife, and one daughter. Eventually, they do adopt a dog as well. And the father is Lloyd, who is a psychiatrist. And then the wife, Yor, works at City Hall. And then Anya is the daughter. She is 6 years old, just going into school, as she's going to one of the most pristine private schools in the country. And it was a great deal to try to get her in. One thing each family member doesn't know is that they all have a secret from one another. And it turns out that Lloyd, the father, is the one who set up this whole family, is actually a spy for the government. The world we're in is very fictional, to where it's only about the East and the West, basically, right? Like that kind of dynamic over there in the EU during, back in the day and all that stuff. So he is a spy trying to keep peace for his country. And his next mission is to infiltrate this private school because the CEO of a big time company has a son that goes there. And so his mission is to try to get close with this man who's the CEO and get intel to see if whether or not he's betraying the country or if he's plotting something. And so he's trying to figure this out. It says, okay, well, I have to get a kid. And he goes to the foster home and finds Anya there. And that is where we find out that Anya is not normal either. She has the ability to read minds. But because she's a kid, the trope comes in to where she can't control it. It's basically whoever's thinking nearby, she picks up on what they're thinking. And so as he's thinking about this stuff, that's when she's like, oh, I could use this to my advantage to get adopted. Because the place they're in is pretty shitty. And just real quick, they never touch on that place again. And that kind of bums me out. Maybe they're going to save that for the future. But I wish we had more stuff with Anya in the background because her stuff is interesting. And then things are going swell. They rent an apartment. They got everything they need to apply. And she makes it in for the preliminary test. But for the next phase of whether or not she will attend the school, both parents must show up. And now Lloyd has to find a wife. Oh, also should mention, Lloyd is not his real name. We don't know his real name. His codename is Twilight. And so as he's trying to find a wife, we find Yor. They stumble upon each other, and it just so happens that she needs a date to this party because her coworkers are worried about her because she's kind of a weird one, right? She has no boyfriends. She's just kind of awkward, always takes to herself. And this worries her a lot because she also has a secret. Turns out she's an assassin for a group and has been doing that for many, many years. And she needs to blend into normal society, thus having the job at City Hall. And now she's like, oh, okay, cool. I could just bring in this guy, Lloyd, and things could be pretty good. He winds up being ambushed at this mission and stumbles upon the party he's supposed to go to with Yor, pretty much half awake when he walks in and says like, hi, I'm Yor's husband. And everybody freaks out and she's like, oh, how come you didn't tell me you were married? And, the night ensues, and Yor says, actually, I would like to keep this going. He says, well, that's perfect because I need you to be the stand-in wife. And so she moves in, and now we have the Forger family. The father's a spy, mother's an assassin, and the daughter is a mind reader, and she thinks all of it is super cool because, of course, her favorite show is a spy show. The main character, I believe, is named Bond, and then eventually they do get their dog, who they name Bond, who also has an ability, which is to see into the future. But because he's a dog, it's not like he could say that to anybody, but because Anya's there, he could read his mind. With all that coming into the fray, this series is hilarious. I didn't know the type of tone this story was going to have. I heard about it. I knew the basic premise about like each position that they had in the family. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. I thought that I thought it was going to be something like Mr. and Mrs. Smith in that aspect of how, they fell in love with each other, but they both have secret identities, and then eventually they're going to have to fight each other, and then the daughter is just involved there somehow kind of thing, right? But no, the fact that like it's just this quick family that Lloyd had to create in order to complete his mission because he is the number one spy, right? Everybody looks up to him. Eventually there's a character that comes in later who falls madly in love with Lloyd and is very jealous of Yor because she is his wife, even though if it's only for the mission. Everything that goes on in here is hilarious. There's not a dull chapter at all. It's all lighthearted. And if you're not laughing, you're still enjoying the chapter because there's some really wholesome stuff to go at in this series. Really, really like that stuff, man. I just kept diving in. I didn't want to stop reading. And I will say it is a lengthy read too, because it's mostly dialogue with characters, and wow, a lot can go on. And yeah, it's just great, man. Eventually we meet other characters like Yor's brother Yuri, and how he's involved into the story of like, oh, actually he also has a secret. And then so it's like this crazy mind game where nobody knows each other except one person knows this, the other person knows that, and how they're trying to make sure everything is going as planned, right? At the end of the day, it's all about Lloyd completing his mission. But perhaps there is more to that than what we see. Early on, Lloyd notices that he is slipping, right? He's the number one spy. He shouldn't be caught off guard. He shouldn't be lacking in certain areas of his skills. And he slips every now and then. Why is that? Is it because he now has a daughter to take care of, and the fact that she is just very innocent, and she thinks that Lloyd is very cool. And every now and then there's those moments to where people outside of this strange relationship these three have will comment on like, oh, that's such a lovely family, or hey, your daughter loves you very much kind of thing. Or they'll even speak out themselves in public, like during the family meetings where they ask Anya, what do you think of your new mom, which is Yor, because they had to put the alibi, and also because Yor doesn't know that Anya's adopted either kind of thing. So there's a lot of stuff in play here, but it all flows so naturally, and it's really just a good time. It's, again, my favorite parts are the comedy and how wholesome it can be. I was hoping for the most part when I was going into this that there was going to be a balance between the three characters, and it leans more towards Lloyd and Anya for the most part, maybe because they were introduced first and they actually had a few more chapters, and maybe because Yor herself, she is just added in there because they needed her. The story is fixated on this mission, and Anya knows the mission, so she's trying her best to not reveal that she knows, but also to make sure that she can help her dad as much as possible. And so that's why we see a lot of her at school with her friends, and why we see Lloyd just do other stuff in the background to make sure things go smoothly. To me, I thought it was fine, but I wanted more Yor, and I could say with the current arc we're in, we're definitely getting that. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to resolve, because she's indecisive right now of where she wants to take her life. Moving forward, does she want to keep being an assassin? Should she just stick to City Hall? Things are so complicated. How is this going to pan out? And I have to say, I was really bummed out when I caught up, man, because this is what I was waiting for a good while, because I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it, like with Lloyd and Anya, but let's get some more Yor, and just seeing how everything is going to play out. And yeah, I'm looking forward very much to these further chapters coming in. And I guess also with this kind of series, we kind of understand how it's going to end. Lloyd wants to finish the mission by creating this family. So you would think, okay, once the family does its job, he's going to move on. I don't think that's the case, right? Because that'd be a little too messed up depending on how long the series goes, and everyone really cares for each other there. And like I said, with Lloyd slipping, yeah, he's slowly really caring about this family. And that stuff's really great. I want that B plot line to really push more. It's very light stuff. Oh, this family thing isn't bad kind of thing. You know, there was maybe one moment where it said, oh, it's for the mission. He's like, yeah, I guess it is just for the mission, right? And that's also a reason why Yor's indecisive. With Anya, we don't really get that much because she's having a fun time. That is like the last thing on her mind, if it is at all, if this family will be separated at one point. When we get to that point, man, it's going to be really good. Like, the writing that Endo's doing here is fantastic. Can't wait for more chapters. So what am I saying, guys? Highly recommend checking this one out. Even the supporting cast that comes in with the minor characters, they're all pretty good too. They bring their own charm. And when it's time to have the comedic moments, they bring it to a T. So I'm really hoping that this series can get more traction. I know it's fairly popular, but it also got confirmed that we are getting an anime for this as well, which is going to be airing next year. So that's really great, man. I hope this picks up in speed and cannot wait to see what we have in store for the future. So with that, that's all I really have to say, guys. Again, highly recommended. But if you have checked it out, what do you guys think? Would love to hear your thoughts. You can send those over to unversepodcast@gmail.com if you have any questions or comments. And then you can follow us on social media anywhere you go at Unverse Podcast, and we'll let you know when those episodes drop. Thank you guys again. We'll catch you on the next one.